you right wing or left wing?
I really like buffalo wings.
Hi, and welcome back to Through the Muck and the Mire. I'm your host, David Hollifield. So I promised you I was going to do a video with my buddy Nick Bates. And so I want to kick it back to my roots a little bit. When I first started this channel, it was actually called Gray Area Politics, or something like that, about the gray area. And I originally planned on, anytime I had somebody on, I was going to do the political compass to show where they're at on the political compass, to have a reference for, any biases that either one of us might have. So I'm going to show you what Nick's is, but it's really funny because, and this is the second time this has actually happened. So, well, let me just go ahead and pull it up. So Nick is the center line a little bit to the left point. And the reason that's funny is because Nick, if you ask Nick, he's a conservative. If you ask me, he's a conservative. He's a Republican. He's a Trump supporter. And you'll get my point, throughout our conversation, listening to him. Anybody would guess that he's a conservative, but under this political compass test, he's actually left-leaning. And most people that see a lot of the things I talk about are, mostly like social issues. I tend to lean left, but fiscally I'm conservative. And then I'm just all mostly anti-government. Like, government should be very limited. So that's why I'm, closer to the bottom. But most people would assume that I'm left and that Nick is on the right. So it's just interesting to look at this. It kind of begs the question, what exactly is this test representing? Maybe I should delve into some other versions of the political compass test and see what other kind of results come out. Or if anybody has any recommendations for a different test. This is politicalcompass.org. So if you have another one, feel free to share it, and I'll take that one and share my results on that as well. But it's just interesting to see where people fall on this as compared to what you would assume where they would fall on this. So anyways, this video is just a conversation. He hit me up. We've been friends for a really long time, but he hit me up and was like, "Hey man, I'd love to come on the show and talk about, some things that I want to talk about that you haven't covered." And, so we got to talking about cancel culture, and that's funny because I actually felt like I needed to delete certain portions of my video because, honestly, fear of cancel culture. I'm trying to get a law degree and, be able to provide for my family in the future. And, neither one of us are hateful or racist or bigots or anything like that. But sometimes even just having a discussion, an objective discussion where you ask questions and talk through things, literally can get misconstrued or put in the wrong light or something like that. So it's kind of ironic that we had this discussion about cancel culture, and going back and editing the video, even during our conversation, I had to stop a few times and be like, dude, I don't even know if we can talk about this. I don't even know if we can say this because I've got a future ahead of me. And also I also don't want to get deplatformed at the same time. So it's just a kind of shitty situation. Anyways, we talked about plenty of really interesting topics, and I kept most of the conversation. But we talked about cancel culture, obviously. And then we talked a little bit about trans rights and trans athletes. Talked about religion, which got into a little bit of a, so I admitted something in this video that I haven't really told anybody. Well, not anybody, but not a lot of people. And Nick also talked about some personal struggles that he had with drugs. So there's plenty of great content in this. I hope you enjoy it. And, please feel free to provide any feedback you have in the comment section. And if you enjoy it, like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks. There he is.
We didn't want anybody. Yeah, check out the beard now. I guess you can see it now.
That's nice, man. Got it growing in good. I just had mine trimmed the other day.
It's about right where yours was when we were in the 7th grade, brother. That's
Well,
about where yours was.
I guess I'll say welcome to Through the Muck and the Mire. Uh, this should be a pretty fun and interesting conversation. I haven't talked to you like on the phone or anything in a while, so
Been a couple months, yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
I say we'll go for about like an hour probably and call it, because then after that it gets like it's just a lot to edit.
Oh, for sure. I got you.
Yeah.
Got a
So
lot to say, man. No.
I mean, we could always do more than one episode.
Okay.
But
So
yeah.
at
So
least I have something to
what
look
do you
at
want to
it.
start off with?
Oh man. I mean, I'd love to start off with this what we got going on with Morgan Wallen, man. Like, you know,
Oh yeah.
I don't were you familiar with him, or do you listen to much country music anymore? Or?
No, not really. I mean, every now and then there's like a few people. Man, the echo is
Oh, let
fucking.
me turn it down.
But yeah, so Morgan Wallen, yeah, I probably would recognize the song, but I didn't know him by name. And I saw the story come up, but I didn't recognize the name. So until you told me about it, I didn't even look at it.
I just watched that video. I watched the video of him, screaming the N-word. And me and you and I have discussed, we've discussed it, when we were young and dumb and we really didn't know much better, we probably didn't use the best language when we were talking, more so to each other, not even necessarily to like black people. um so I've also, I also haven't used that word in a while. I moved on and I grew up and a different person than what I was back then. But I see it as like he's at his own house. He's literally being stalked by his neighbor. His neighbor has a Ring doorbell aiming at his house, and then in the video, he's literally on the top floor of his house, videotaping Morgan getting home drunk as shit from the bar.
Yeah.
So
I saw another video, I guess. So I saw the first clip that just showed him like walking towards his front door, and that's when he said like, "Y'all take care of that like pussy ass N-word."
yeah.
That was like the first clip that I saw, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And then I saw another clip that I guess was before that, and it was them outside of the house. Because I was thinking the same thing that you just said about like, why is this neighbor like stalking him basically? But they were being loud as shit. I mean, they got home drunk. They were being rowdy. I think they got in a fight like out in the street. And so, I mean, I don't know if that's the only reason that the neighbor was recording in the first place or not, but I think that that's what happened, is that they were out in front of the house being loud as shit. And so the neighbor was like recording them, because at one point I couldn't tell because the video is real grainy. I don't know if he got thrown on the ground or he threw his friend on the ground, but somebody got tossed on the ground.
Really, I didn't see that part.
Yeah, there was like some kind of altercation that happened leading up to that.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't. That's interesting. I didn't.
It seemed kind of like, maybe playful fighting or something, like shit.
Yeah, drunk buddies like broing it up,
Yeah, but like regardless, like me and you talked about it. Obviously, like it's not excusable to use the word, and like neither you or me right now is saying like, oh no, it's cool, it's fine that he used the word. Like obviously, don't use the word. It's just
Absolutely.
no. It doesn't matter if it's like whatever the setting is, it's bad. But it's
And that's the issue that I have with this cancel culture, man. It's like I'm not a like crazy conspiracy theorist or like none of that. Like the QAnon shit, I laugh at. Like I don't even laugh at the QAnon stuff, and we'll get into some of that shit later on. But it's so crazy that, like, for me, man, like on a spiritual level, these masks that they have people wearing is like, it's like a satanic ritual, bro. It's like putting your hand over your face and it's keeping you quiet. You're afraid to say anything, and they're canceling anybody that says anything that doesn't go with what they want you to think. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like I guess like a metaphor type
right. And this is like, this like adds to it. And I don't mean like where I sound crazy, where like I refuse to wear a mask, dude. When I walk into a store that requires a mask, I mean, I'll put my mask on because I want whatever product they have in their store.
Yeah.
You know, it's that simple. Like if I want to go into a store and buy something, I'm gonna walk into the store and follow their rules and buy something.
Right.
I might not have it over my nose sometimes, but I can't breathe out of my nose from, you know, I was a wild kid back in the day, you know, I can't breathe out of my nose, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't feel the same way about that. Like, I think that there's like I feel like that it's, you know, a medical thing. They're just like, yeah, there's a bad virus going around. We don't want to fucking breathe it on people, so wear a mask. But I understand the metaphor though, and it definitely like lines up with all of the people that are being silenced. And like, to be completely honest with you, like, so I've been really torn on this myself because like literally right now I have a 30-day ban on Facebook from joking around with, like, the last comment that I made was like joking to somebody saying shut your whore mouth, and it was like 30-day ban immediately, just based off the algorithm. Like, he didn't even, like, nobody had to report it, it was immediate. So, but I'm like you said, you're going to wear the mask because you need to go in that store and get the services that they're providing or the products that they're providing to you. I'm using Facebook for free. You know, I agreed to their terms of services when I signed up. Like, I broke the rules, so whatever. So it sucks, but at the same, like I said, I'm torn on it. It's kind of,
Yeah. What's up, Zeus? Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. It's, you know, it's just it's a different world, man. It's a different world, and we discussed this, and we won't go all into detail, but we discussed, like, damn, man, like, God, so glad there wasn't social media when we were growing up, man, because there ain't a single one of us that wouldn't be canceled right now.
oh,
I mean,
100%. Yeah, I mean, I would. Yeah, I've had plenty of conversations and done plenty of things that people would, you know, I wouldn't have a future if people could dig into my past, probably. But,
right.
there was something else I was gonna say. Oh, so even though like I'm trying to process like the logic of it and say like, yeah, Facebook technically has the right to do these things because of terms of service or whatever, that doesn't mean I agree with it. Like, I think that freedom of speech like protects all speech, even if you don't like it, you don't agree with it. Like, and
Yeah.
in one way, it actually makes, I think it makes things way worse because, you know, I said this in another video, is like, when people were rioting for Black Lives Matter and stuff like that, they said, you know, they shared that Martin Luther King quote saying, riots are the voice of the unheard. You are silencing people. They are now unheard and they are going to riot. Like, you're going to cause, this is going to have a bad effect. So,
I mean, that you're almost foreshadowing something as well, but you know, we won't get into that, but you know, you're saying it, man, you know.
I mean, it should be
and
common fucking sense. Like, these people feel better right now. Like, temporarily, they're gonna feel better, more comfortable when they get on their Facebook and Twitter feeds and stuff like that. But at some point, like, all of these things, all kinds of different things, COVID, social media, politics, like, all of these things are gonna collide at some point, and it's not gonna be pretty for us.
No, and I like how you said that. You know, you just look at the white rappers, man, and it really is like, you know, it's about silencing like the conservatives or anybody that doesn't go along with what the narrative is supposed to be, like media, politics. Because, you know, you look at MGK, you look at Post Malone, you look at Lil Peep, they all dropped the N-bomb, bro. And Little Xans or whatever, you know, like, they all drop it, but like, why would they cancel one of their own? You know what I mean? Because like, they're on that team.
Yeah.
Like, they glorify drink, like doing drugs, bro. Like you listen to Lil Peep's lyrics, dude, and he's literally talking about, let me I'm doing all these drugs, and then you look at these generation of kids, like my little brothers, like they're depressed, dude. But it's because of the music that they're listening to and like this mindset that they're being put in. And it's like, and I'm not like a Bible thumper or anything like that. You know, me and you were actually saved together. Um, I have my Bible somewhere. It's got the date in it, but it was what, 2006?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what, 15 years ago, we were saved. Me and you were saved together at the same time. And if you look at the lack of faith and like the lack of God in this world, man, and like not even just in the sense of like the depression and all the like the negative shit that's going on, is you have to look at like there's no more forgiveness, bro. And like people that are spiritual or like religious, and I'm not throwing religion in anybody's face, but like you know, forgiveness, man. Like God forgives, dude. Don't destroy a guy's career or somebody's life based on one little thing, man. Like, that's what society has to be about, is like following like those kind of guidelines, man. Whether you believe in God or not, there's like it doesn't matter. Like there's a way of life, man. And like living with all this hate and negativity, man, this world's just gonna be destroyed, man. And like God's fury, right? He's furious right now, man. Like he sees what's going on. He sees the divide amongst his people, you know, and it's all because of politics, man. And that's the scary part, that they're that powerful. And that Facebook that you're talking about right now is the most powerful thing in the world, and it is a privately owned company. But every single person in this world, damn near, gets all their information and all of their news and all of everything from Facebook.
Yeah.
So, I didn't mean to go on a huge rant. I hope some of that made sense to you, man. But
No, it did. I don't really know exactly what to say about it because I've actually lost my faith, and that's not really something I've talked about with a whole lot of people.
okay.
Not necessarily something that I really want to dive into at the moment, but I guess one of the reasons I don't like to talk about it is because I believe that there is like really strong power in religion, and it doesn't even have to just be Christian religion. It could be any religion, but like you're saying, it teaches these amazing things like forgiveness and love, and it helps literally save people's lives. Like people come out of addiction, people get over the loss of a loved one. Exactly. Like, so it's been a very difficult struggle for me to actually deal with like me losing my faith.
Right.
But I also acknowledge the fact that it has a very real effect in people's lives.
Absolutely.
But I don't think that you need to be religious. Like, well, it's not even that I don't think. I know for a fact that you don't need to be religious to have ethics and morals and stuff like that. Like
No.
some of my closest friends and even family members are amazing people, super morally grounded people, and they've never believed in any religion whatsoever. So, and then
Yeah. And
there's also a million different religions in the world, and they all have different like little tweaks and stuff like that. But
yeah, no, I get what you're saying, man. And I wasn't speaking of religion. I was speaking of spirituality. Like being spiritual and being religious are two different things, man. And one of my favorite quotes is that, religion is for people who don't want to go to hell, and spirituality is for people who've already been there, and that's something that you walk into any 12-step program, like it's finding something greater than yourself to believe in you, man. Because at the end of the day, man, if you don't believe in something greater than you when you lay down in bed at night, and this is for me, this is for people that struggle with addiction and depression and anxiety and all this other stuff, and when I lay down at night and I have somebody that's with me, man, I don't ever feel alone. And that's like, for me, that was life changing for me, because when I got saved with you, I think you might have been the only person that knew when we went on that trip what was in my bag.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like I didn't go on that trip to get saved, bro.
Right.
And to be honest with you, I probably didn't get saved that night. I didn't get saved until I was ready to be saved. I went there because there was a bunch of hot chicks going there, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that was straight up. I was gonna smoke weed the whole time.
Yeah.
I brought my weed with me, dude, my pipe. I was gonna smoke on this retreat.
Yeah.
But
And
I'll
just
never
for
forget.
reference, this is what was it called? Sharp Top Cove?
Yeah, I think that's what it
Yeah,
was.
it's like I mean, it was a religious retreat from, in high school or whatever.
But I'll never forget, man. I'll never forget when they shut all the lights out and we were in the middle of the mountains and how pitch dark and like just felt his presence, man. And like, I didn't know that he was there until later on in life. Like this is all hindsight looking back, but I'll never forget the clarity that I got, that night. And to be honest with you, like when I came in to get sober, I don't think religion or any of that really came into my mind other than like somebody showing up and was like told me what worked for him, dude. And I was like, huh. And it just clicked, man. And I don't know. Anyways, we got way off subject, but
No, I mean, this was a free for all conversation, so
yeah.
whatever we end up rolling with. I mean, I think it's a good conversation, and at some point, I'm gonna have to talk more in depth about why and how I got to the place I'm at right now. But
yeah. No, it's crazy how God works, man.
How long have you been clean now? If you want
to 4.5 years. 4.5 years. Yep.
Yeah.
September 21st, 2016.
That's amazing.
That's my sober date, and I stopped drinking, man. I stopped. I guess this isn't about me, but I stopped drinking for a year, and this was when I first went to rehab, and I came home, and I was like, all right, I can go to the methadone clinic and not drink, and then everybody will think I'm sober, right? So like that's just how good I was. I was a master double life kind of guy, man. I could live two lives. Dude, you've known me my whole life, man. Me and you come from similar backgrounds, man. We haven't had it the easiest way, bro. I've always had to make do, and part of making do is like putting on different faces on different situations. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which turned out to be like the worst thing that I could be good at was manipulating and lying, and being people depending on who I was around.
Right.
So yeah, but basically, I quit drinking and I got my second DUI.
That's a pretty consistent like characteristic of, an addict too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The like manipulation and just being able to like, I don't know. We have a couple other friends that are ridiculously good at it too.
Yeah, but once you get to know somebody, man, they're just really good at their parents.
Right,
they're really good at lying to their parents.
Yeah.
And their parents believing it. And we both know who we're talking about, but
which I mean, I hope that one day we don't. I hope he gets clean. I hope everybody gets clean.
Yeah, that's all I can do, man. Is I shoot messages. I'm not big on social media where I'm like throwing my recovery in everybody's face all the time, but like on big accomplishments, years, and maybe if I hit a couple thousand days or something like that, like I'll throw that out there and then just let people like reach out to me if you need anything,
Yeah.
And you'd be amazed, bro, how many times that my DMs go off, man. You'd be amazed. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy.
It's everywhere.
I mean, I didn't even know for a long time that you were using at all. Like I had no clue. But I mean, obviously, I'm in Georgia. You're in Wisconsin at the time. So.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not anything that ever came up. Like you never told me about it.
Yeah, I was fortunate, man. Like I never did heroin or meth. Like whatever it was within me, bro. On my sickest day, man, I'd have it offered to me, man, and I just couldn't do it. Like I would rather be sick. Oxys, the Oxy 30s, and then Xanax, and then methadone for a year. And I don't know, man. Like I feel like I lived two lives, man, because you go back to my early days. You go back to my early days when you knew me, I was a garbage can, bro. Anything and everything that you put in front of me, I was doing it. And that was at such a young age, bro. Like looking back at it, like 15 years old, dude, 14, 15 years old, selling fucking cocaine,
Yeah.
fighting, crazy shit, man. So, but yeah, let's you want to get into some that next subjects or what?
Yeah.
What do you got? What do you got? What are you thinking?
Let's see. Look at the pictures you sent me.
Yeah, we can talk about the girls and men's sports. Or sorry, the men and girls sports. So, well, they're technically women, right?
Trans women in biological women's sports, I guess, is like the proper. Is that what you say? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
trans females competing in like, I guess, natural born female sports.
yeah, yeah. I'm not even gonna give my opinion on that because it's really not much of opinion to give. Um, but we can talk science though, right?
I mean, to me, I mean, it seems unfair, just like on face value, just like biologically, it because especially if the person that was born a male went through puberty and got all of the benefits that higher testosterone levels give you, and then they converted, like you can look at any like you can look at the original army fitness standards and see that men and women's physical standards were different. You can look at Olympic competitive standards, like basically any kind of competitive standards is going to show you that men are faster and stronger.
Yes, they're built differently.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I understand like it sucks to be a trans person and then be told that you can't compete with the people that you identify with. But like it's also like in my opinion it shits on women, like women's progress.
Right.
Like women have had to fight so long to get these chances to compete and do all these different things, and then you can be the strongest, fastest female, and then a trans guy comes into your sport and whoops your ass, and you're just like, oh well, I guess I got to be happy in second place now, even though I fucking trained my whole life for this.
Yep. Yeah. I you know, it's a controversial subject for sure for some people. I'm not the type that's gonna like hate people because of it. But yeah, that's just basically, I do listen. I listen to a lot of Ben Shapiro. Obviously, I like how he articulates things.
His
I
just annoys me a little bit.
Oh yeah, oh no doubt, dude. Yeah, he's definitely got that like Siri voice. Like he sounds like a computer, right?
Yeah.
He's like pretty smart guy. And here's the thing about like I'm a conservative, but like I don't believe everything that I'm told, and like that gets us to Marjorie Green or whatever for Georgia. Or yeah, she represents like a certain section of Georgia, and they basically just kicked her off all of her committees.
Yeah.
They kicked her off all of her committees, but like the vice president of the United States was like condoning these, and I'm still to this day reading articles, bro, and they're still considering these protests. They're not saying they don't use the words riot for what they're doing in Seattle and Washington, and like they don't consider like Kenosha, bro. I'm right down the road from Kenosha.
Mm-hmm.
And I was reading the article about Kyle Rittenhouse firing his old lawyer and then bringing in some new lawyer, and they're still calling them protests.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on which one you're talking about. If it's a violent protest, then I don't think it's a protest anymore. If it's violent,
It would be
if
a riot, right?
I mean, that sounds like a riot to me. And yeah, that's if you're destroying property or hurting people, then you're not really. I guess you can call it a protest, but you can't call it a peaceful protest, and that's.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you're right. It's a protest. I that makes sense.
But it's like
I like how you worded that.
Protest.
Yeah, burning cities down and destroying lives.
What is the actual difference between a riot and a violent protest? I don't like. There's probably a technical difference. Like maybe a riot is on a bigger scale or something. I don't know.
I think a riot. I think a riot would be more like kind of unprovoked.
Yeah, let me.
More so
Definition.
I would say a riot would be more so like kind of what happened on the 6th of January.
It's the first definition that came up is a violent disturbance of the peace by a crowd.
Yeah, I mean, so let's call a spade, bro. It's no different than what happened on the 6th, and and I do not think what they did was right on the 6th, and that was not to sound crazy, man, but that was like that happened too conveniently, they were just kind of let in conveniently.
Well, I think part of that has to do with the fact that like they weren't Black Lives Matter.
You think so?
I mean, not necessarily.
Well, that would make sense though, because they've had how many different Million Man marches out there in Washington D.C. lately, and you didn't have nothing happen until Black Lives Matter showed up. So you know what? That makes a lot of sense now that you speak of it like that, for sure. Because those people were, for the most part, pretty peaceful people the entire time until Black Lives Matter would show up to any of those other protests. So actually, you know what? You're right. If that was a Black Lives Matter protest, understandably, there would be the National Guard and fences put up prior to them showing up, because what does history tell you about the Black Lives Matter protests?
Yeah, I mean, they did do that. It happened. I guess it wasn't necessarily Black Lives Matter specifically, but the last inauguration of Trump, there were like some violent protests that broke out in DC. And then, but there's also like plenty of examples of peaceful protests being organized in DC, and like entire, battalions of National Guard being activated, or maybe it wasn't National Guard, but it was like the whole steps of the building leading up to the Capitol were like covered by police and National Guard or whoever it was.
For sure, I would have. Hell yeah, man, put them all up there. Call every National Guard that you can, because they burnt down fucking cities from sea to shining sea, bro. Destroyed lives, overtook federal buildings and police stations, and made their own little autonomous zone, and they got away with it.
That's true.
Don't play this narrative because it's Black Lives and it's conservatives, bro, because if you want to look at the history of what these protests that they keep calling them protests are, I mean, bro, look at it. They're destroying livelihoods, man. They went through, you look at the Jacob Blake situation in Kenosha here. I mean, you have a screaming lady saying, he's got my keys. Their cops are pulling up. You went to school for criminal justice, bro. You know this isn't an easy choice to make. There's a car full of kids. There's a mom screaming as they show up, he's got my keys. The kids are in the car. He's jumping in the car. They really haven't had an understanding of what's going on, but they have an opportunity to eliminate the threat on those kids. Little did they know that those kids were his kids, but nonetheless, he was reaching for a weapon. So before all the facts of that case came out, they were already in the streets, bro, an hour later, because it was right on the doorstep, or right on the tail end of those riots that went down in Minnesota because of George Floyd, which I don't know how you feel about George Floyd, but dude should have never got murdered. I mean, I went to school for criminal justice. You went to school for criminal justice. Guys refute. The guy doesn't want to do what the cops telling him to do. Do what you got to do, man. If you beat his ass, you beat his ass. You don't fucking kill him, and you don't keep your knee on his neck for like 5 minutes after he's unconscious.
Yeah.
You don't. He was murdered.
Yeah, for sure.
And that cop got charged.
The Jacob Blake one, there was actually even more information about that. It was like I can't remember all of it now, but it was like he was on, like she had the lady, his ex-girlfriend or whatever, had a restraining order against him for like domestic violence or something like that. And so
Right.
when the police get a call, they have all of this information in front of them on a computer. It's like,
yeah,
she called. He is literally not even allowed to be around her. She had a temporary restraining order against him. The cops show up. They get into a physical altercation. From what I think I remember reading is that they said he physically had a knife on him. They were yelling at him, drop the knife, drop the knife, drop the knife. He walks around the car, reaches inside the car. Like, if this dude just fought you and he has a knife, he's not listening to you, and he reaches into a car, I mean, the first thing that cops are going to think of, because they
reaches into a car with children.
Yeah. But cops watch videos of people reaching into cars for guns. Like, that's what a cop thinks when they see somebody reach into a car, because it's happened a million times. You can see it, probably a whole compilation video on YouTube right now of a cop being too trusting and too lenient with somebody. The person reaches into their car and shoots them and kills the cop. Like, it happens plenty of times. So like those two situations, like George Floyd absolutely should not have died. Jacob Blake, he didn't die. I understand why people are upset about it, but also seeing it from like being in the military and having a criminal justice background and having to think about, like, what is it really like being in that situation? What's going through the cop's mind? What is he doing? Like, there's just so much stuff you have to look at. Jacob Blake, I think, was a justified shooting because he literally had a knife. He fought the cops and he reached into a vehicle where he potentially had a gun.
Yep.
Like,
100%.
George Floyd, though, absolutely not, because like the rookie cop next to him literally was like, "Hey, dude, you're not supposed to do it that way," and he just disregarded it and was like, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna keep my knee on this dude's neck for 10 minutes."
Yep. Have you watched that whole video of George Floyd?
Yeah. Where he was like
Now,
out. He's like saying he was claustrophobic and stuff when they put him in the back seat.
Yeah, it was cringeworthy as shit. And see, man, and like this is just me observing. This is me observing what's the temperature of what's going on. Like, you're talking about, like, we're in the middle of a pandemic that a lot of people came from China, and there was a lot of speculation about it coming out of a lab. That it was China who obviously benefits the most out of Trump not being in office, first thing. And you have to understand that this is a communist party who has no fucking care in the world. They have no care in the world of their constituents. There's so many Chinese people in China that they don't care how many die. Like, they don't have that in them. Their government does not give a shit. But you're in the middle of a pandemic for a virus that a lot of people were already thinking that it was like coming from China, put out by China during an election year. And then you have this video come up with George Floyd, and it was like too good. It was like, the video for me was too good. And this comes from somebody, like, I worked on the beach at the time, and I seen a lot of EMTs responding to unconscious people on the beach. I've watched people die. Crazy shit, right? And I know that every single time when the EMTs pull up to a scene, bro, and nobody pointed this out to me, David. When the EMTs pull up to a unconscious victim, you tell me what the first thing they do.
Check for pulse. No.
Thank you. You watch that video of George Floyd, bro. They get out of that. They have bulletproof vests on, dude. The EMTs, watch that video again if you didn't catch that.
No, I didn't pay attention to the EMTs.
If you didn't catch that, bro, you can pull it up as soon as we hang up, and then you can text me when we're done with this tonight. But they get out of their ambulance, bro, and I swear to God, the cop gets off of him. They pull out one of those like Civil War gurneys, like the cloth ones.
Mhm.
You saw that part, right? And then they never checked for a pulse, David. They never checked for a pulse. They have bulletproof jackets on. They flip him over and like basically like drag him on top of this like Civil War mat. You know what I mean? It wasn't like one of those boards that like lay you flat and then they pick up that board. It was literally like it rolled out,
Like a
you know?
cloth, yeah.
Yeah. And then they put him on the stretcher, bro. They never started working him. They never did anything, dude. They shoved him into the ambulance and drove away. Now you're talking about, like, it sounds crazy, man, but if you really look at like the detail of that video, it was like, fuck, dude. They didn't do anything they were supposed to do. They could have probably saved his life right there.
Yeah.
Like,
So,
you know what I mean?
But are you saying that you think that it was like he died because they were all negligent, or that this whole thing was planned?
Well, I mean, not to sound crazy, but I mean, obviously it was negligence. It was obviously negligence on the cops' parts and the EMTs that pulled up parts. But I mean, you look at that, you look at the cop that was sitting on top of him, and you have a crowd of people yelling at him like, dude, get the fuck off of him. Get off of him. He's dead. He's unconscious, bro. And he stayed on top of him, calm and cool and collected, like he had not a worry in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like he didn't care about nothing at the time, He just wanted to kill this guy. And then all of a sudden, now you have a pandemic going on, and now you have racial tension going on in the United States. And guess what year it is?
Election year.
Fucking election year. And then you have any black guy that gets shot by a cop from that point forward, you have riots all over the country. And they were rioting in Kenosha based on like a 6-second clip. There's Zeus.
Oh, hey, dog.
There's Zeus. All right, Zeus, get down. Get down. But you know what I'm saying though? Like, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, bro. And like I got into like some QAnon. We'll get into that right now. I got into some QAnon shit for like a day. And I joined all the groups on Facebook because I watched this one video, The Fall of the Cabal.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was like the most popular one that went around or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it and I was like, damn, like, and I did do some research too, because like Anderson Cooper, he did inherit the Vanderbilt estate. His mother was like Gloria Vanderbilt.
Uh-huh.
And like, why the fuck does the guy that inherits like one of the most rich estates in the fucking world sitting on CNN? You know what I mean? It just so like that started to make a little bit of sense to me. But then like I got onto these QAnon pages, and I was basically like, I started commenting on the stuff, like asking questions.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I was doing, was asking questions.
Right.
And they all fucking cussed me out and sent me on my way, and I just left all the groups because all I was doing was asking questions. And that's for me, I'm looking at the result, man. And like, that's something that I learned about life. It's not about how we get there. It's about, what the end result is, man. And like, for me, it's like, if I'm thinking about drinking or doing drugs or anything like that, like, I play the tape out, man. And I see where it ends, So I base everything that I see on where it ends, man. And so in hindsight, man, and as stupid as it sounds, man, I watch these videos and I don't listen to anybody else tell me anything, dude. I come up with my own judgments on everything. And that's why these QAnon people were fucking psycho crazy out of this world. But I know what I saw when I watched that George Floyd shit. And I know I saw those EMTs get out. They never checked his pulse. They had bulletproof vests on. They didn't even put him on the gurney right. They didn't put him on the stretcher right. And they put him in the car and they drove away. Like, I know what I saw. And I implore everybody that watches this to go watch it themselves.
No, I believe you. And that's like, absolutely, like, not like they should have done more. And the cops should have never done what he did. But it's like, for me, it's just a stretch to be able to connect that. Like, basically cops and EMTs doing a really fucking shitty job and murdering this guy. Connecting that to China trying to steal the election away from Donald Trump. Like, that's the part.
No. Not connecting that to China at all.
It was like, that's like kind of how this part of the conversation started, was just like, well, you have to.
With the coronavirus.
Yeah, you were like, this is. Yeah, you're basically just saying like all of these things line up too conveniently. Pretty much, you're like, China's the ones that benefits if Donald Trump gets out of office. There's rumors of the virus being purposeful or whatever, and then basically the circumstances of George Floyd's death were too perfect. The video is too perfect, and that created unrest in America during the election year. So it kind of sounds like we're saying all of this is on purpose, and it was all like China's plan from the beginning.
Right. No, I mean, it's obviously like whoever benefits, dude. You know, like, it's not China. China obviously, like, you know, and all I said was I didn't even say if I knew that that virus came over from China from a lab intentionally over here. I don't know that, but you know, it's just the timing of it, man. It's weird. And look at the result. What was the result? Trump lost. Everybody that voted for Trump's a fucking racist and a bigot. And they're fucking brainwashed and they're fucking canceled. You're canceled. Your business is shut down because you questioned the integrity of a fucking you questioned the integrity of an election in the United States of America. But here's the crazy part, man. Here's the crazy part is I did a lot of thinking myself on the whole election shit too. Here's the crazy part is when Donald Trump won in 2016, nobody got called for censorship for posting collusion with Russia, Russia collusion, Russia collusion, Russia collusion, Russia collusion. They did an entire investigation on Russia collusion. They found nothing other than fucking mismanagement of money or whatever it was in his money, which, dude, I don't give a fuck what politician you are. If they went through all your finances on your shit, they're all crooked. They're all stealing money and they're all padding their pockets with money. Am I wrong?
No, absolutely not.
I'm probably right. So, you know, nobody got censored, bro. Nobody got called for censorship. Nobody's business got fucking shut down. Nobody got kicked off Twitter. No small businessmen were fucking kicked off Facebook where they, you know, if you were owning a small business right now, David, and the only way that you got business was on like Facebook Marketplace, you would be fucking out of a job right now.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that if you can point out a difference between the two is that when the Democrats did that, and they absolutely did do that, they didn't storm the Capitol. That's a huge difference. Like, they didn't actually try to overthrow it.
All right, true. What did you say? What did you say happened what happened in Washington D.C. on Inauguration Day?
When he won or whatever. When he got inaugurated.
Yeah,
they protested it. Yeah.
Okay, all right. But see, but here's that, and that's the part that gets me too. You know, is like,
the biggest distinction is that like the patriots, you know, like so I consider myself a patriot, right? I'm super hardcore. Like, I literally have the Constitution I hang on my wall behind me. You know, I served for like 12 years, whatever. If there was something that I believed in my heart was true, like this election, like if I actually thought that that the election was legitimately stolen, assuming I didn't have a wife and kid to you know, keep me home, I would probably be in the streets too. Like, this is my country that I love. I'm a patriot. I'm going to protect my freedoms in my country. Like, if you actually believe those things, then of course you're going to like you're going to try to overthrow this new government that you think is fake. Like, it's threatening like American freedom in your mind. Like, I understand it, and that but that was like part of the biggest difference though, is that like these Democrats were like bitching and stuff in 2016 and they protested it, but they didn't literally like organize and come up with a way to try to literally take the election back for themselves. They were like, yeah, well, we're going to protest and we're going to take it to court and we're going to protest a little bit more and it might get a little bit violent, but we're not literally going to say whoever the vice president was at the time, fucking Joe Biden, we're not going to say, hey, Joe Biden, throw out all the electoral votes and do all this unconstitutional stuff to prevent the election results from actually happening. Like, they did all of their legal stuff, all of the legal avenues of approach, and they protested and they bitched about it on Facebook, but they didn't literally try to overthrow the government.
Okay, but see, that's where we are today in society, is that you can't believe one thing without being grouped in all together, right? So you had 1,000 fucking psycho Proud Boys, whatever the fuck they were, patriots that they call themselves. You have 1,000 of them, and now every single person that thinks that the election's stolen gets that rap based on what those fucking 1,000 people did.
Right.
If that's the fucking case, all these fucking snowflakes on Facebook that are running around white fucking wokeness shit, right? If that's the case, dude, then they're all just as fucking guilty as all the motherfuckers that burned down every city in this country, bro. When they sat there and they protested in all these cities, the double standard doesn't work, bro. And the liberals try to play it off like it's like the double standard's back onto them, like they're the victims of the double standard, but they are the double standard. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's a both. I think both are double standards, because it's like,
yeah.
like you were talking earlier about all of the riots, but in reality that was, if we were able to map out every single protest that happened in the United States for Black Lives Matter, for police brutality, for anything like that, it probably was a fraction of them that actually involved burning cities to the ground and fucking attacking police precincts and stuff like that. But that's like the way that you kind of painted that broad brush of these aren't really protests. Like, that's kind of the same thing that as what happened at the Capitol. Like, now everybody that says that they're Black Lives Matter or Antifa, well, actually I won't say Antifa because fuck Antifa, like they actually are terrorists. But Black Lives Matter, like I went to Black Lives Matter protest in Atlanta that was completely peaceful, and I've seen dozens of them. Does that mean that I am guilty of burning down cities because I went to a Black Lives Matter protest?
I mean, is every conservative guilty for, being?
Well, no, they're not.
Okay, then no, you're not.
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah.
Like,
no, yeah, 100%.
It does, like, it happens both ways, because it's like when the Capitol happened, people were like, "Oh, well, they I don't know." Basically, the same argument that you just made was like, "Oh, well, they don't represent all of us." And then people that actually are peaceful Black Lives Matter people were like, "Yeah, well, like Antifa and a crazy person that calls themselves BLM doesn't represent me either."
Right. That exactly. And those people don't represent me. And what I don't believe that, the more I looked into this whole voter fraud shit, I don't believe that they were in the polls. They didn't have to cheat in the polls. You can't scan the same stack of fucking votes 5 times, because at the end of it, you're going to have more votes than you will paper, right? There'll be more votes counted than there is actually ballots that are in the room, right? So you can't cheat there. That's not capable, right? You're not capable of cheating there. But I was looking at the statistic in Atlanta during this runoff election for the Senate, like 370,000 of like the 470,000 votes were all mail-in ballot from Atlanta. 370,000 out of 470,000 votes were all mail-in ballots. So you're telling me in a city of how many million people, only 100,000 people actually showed up to vote, but everybody else mailed their shit in. I don't know. Just and that, you know, dude. And I'm not gonna sit here and complain either, dude. Like I'm living my life regardless of who the president is, dude. I'm a man of my faith. My life don't change. Like I'm still doing me. And like at the end of the day, when it's time to fight, I'll fight. I ain't scared to fight. I'd prefer not to fight, but like I'm just gonna continue to live my life. But these are just questions that I have to ask. And you know, you look at the, you know, what do you got?
I don't know. It doesn't seem unreasonable to me that many people would. I mean, that is a really high percentage of mail-in, but like we're literally in the middle of a pandemic.
How perfect. How perfect, David. How perfect, David.
It's reasonable, but it's like
you're saying it. You're saying it.
But that's
I'm getting you to say it. It's perfect. That's perfect. I literally just got you to say it.
Argument is that to come from your side and be like, oh well, it's just too perfect. That just makes too much sense. So it must not make any sense because it actually makes sense. It's like, and why the fuck? Okay, so you brought up the welfare thing. That's like a whole that's like a really deep conversation in itself. That there's been like all kinds of just like really sketchy and shitty political, you know, pandering and just like all kinds of stuff that bad shit that's happening.
I'll give you $1,400 if you vote for me.
Then Joe Biden does like criminal justice reform, or not reform, but laws that disproportionately.
The 1997 crime bill.
The 94 crime bill.
There, 94.
There was another one that was he did a bunch of them, honestly.
Where he's racist. He's basically racist as shit, right?
I mean, he made a bunch of literally like just straight up racist comments.
Yeah, like he doesn't want his kids to grow up in a racial jungle.
Yes, like I don't understand how I really don't understand how he didn't get canceled. I know why he didn't get canceled. Like the DNC propped him up and he was there. Like you had to vote for him if you didn't want Trump, basically.
Do me a favor.
And you vote Libertarian, but
do me a favor. Do me a favor. Pull on your computer right now and figure out what was the date that Joe Biden was on the Breakfast Club and said, if you ain't black, if you don't vote for me, then you ain't black. What was the date on that? So, yeah. We can get into some systematic racism. How are we doing on time right now? We probably got a long way in, don't we? Oh, wow. We can edit some of the mad parts out if you want. I tried to not get there.
Let's see. Mad part? What do you mean?
I don't know. I feel like I was aggressive for a minute.
No, that's good. People need to see that.
Zeus, come on, man. Get out of here. He just stuck his tongue right in my mouth.
I can't find the actual, like, I see something about, like, June 3rd, May 22nd.
May 22nd. All right. Now, Google what day George Floyd was killed.
May 25th.
Thank you. That's all. Do with that information as you wish. Think about it, dude. It's too convenient, right? It makes too much sense, right? Does that make any sense or no? Think about it, bro.
I just feel like I don't know. I
2 days later, bro.
I never liked that. Like what are they trying to distract you from thing?
No, David. No, you're looking at it wrong. You're looking at it wrong. What did I tell you before? I said we look at the end result, and then that'll tell you why what happened. Look at the end result. What was the end result? Who was the racist at the end?
Joe Biden?
Trump.
So what are you saying? Oh, Trump. Okay.
Trump was the racist.
Yeah.
That's who the media and that's who everybody thinks is the racist. All his supporters. So why would 2 days after Joe Biden tells the most popular podcast or like radio show for the black community ever, 2 days after he tells them like, hey dude, you're not black, that disappears off the media forever, and now Trump's racist because he doesn't do any criminal justice reform. You know, like that's what I'm saying, man. Is like I'm not a crazy conspiracy theorist, dude. I don't read crazy conspiracy theories. I just look at like, holy shit, look at the timing of this stuff, and I don't necessarily even think that it's 100% that way. But I'm just trying to get you to start asking these questions and not taking everything for face value. Because I'm a skeptic on what I'm being told. That's just who I am. So I just make my own judgments, and I don't really say it's a fact that it happened because of this, but I just want you to start asking that questions. You look at those 2 days apart, bro.
Right. But
3 days apart.
I guess my problem with it is that like it like I'm so the general public, yeah, they didn't give a shit about Joe Biden. Like, you know, there's a little bit of talk about it, but then George Floyd and Black Lives Matter and that took over the scene. But for me, it didn't. That's not how it happened. Like for me, I was like, oh, like this really fucked up, terrible thing happened where George Floyd was murdered by a cop. But also, we can still talk about this over here, where Joe Biden literally told a black radio host, like this thing, like we're capable of thinking about more than one thing at a time. So like when people were like, "Oh, they're distracting us," how the fuck are they distracting us when we can talk about both things at the same time?
Well, that's the thing though, man, is like everything runs on algorithms on the internet, on Facebook. Everything runs on those algorithms, man. And if they have if they have any sort of a political like if they want a certain politician to win or whatever, you know, the algorithms can change. All of a sudden, those stories that everybody's talking about, because that's where people talk about stuff at, is on Facebook.
Mhm.
Everybody's a keyboard warrior. Me and you have had our spats all over Facebook, jokingly most of the time. Like, I love you regardless of what you think, like
Love you too.
forever, dude, because you're one of my best friends from day one, dude. And like, you know, it's just that's what I'm talking about, is that's the mind control. And you know, and that's almost like a perfect way to close it out, because like we kind of got on started on this Facebook ban, but like we get circle all the way back to that, and you look at the algorithms. So you said what you said was like, oh, you know, why aren't we capable of talking about this and that at the same time? You look at the Facebook algorithms, man, and if it's all George Floyd and it's all Black Lives Matter, and if it's all this, nobody's going to be sitting there talking about it. And that's the control that they have.
Yeah, I mean, I can't deny that. I mean, that they definitely. It's been proven not only that Facebook, you know, they have their own algorithms that they push, but also foreign interference from countries like Russia. Like Russia's fucking. They're the leading cyber threat in the entire world. They've been like meticulously working up their cyber attacks since the Cold War. And
Yep.
they proved that they were able to, like, they compiled a bunch of information on Americans and use that to make fake news on both sides and get us to fight each other. Like so I mean, it really, I mean, there is no denying the fact that like the media controls all of this shit. Like the media controls the narrative, and it's not even just the actual media, it's also the fake media that comes out from foreign attackers, basically.
For sure.
So
For sure.
It's kind of crazy.
Did you see that Bank of America, the FBI or the CIA, the FBI, I believe, went to Bank of America, who is the second largest bank in the United States, and they said, okay, make a list of all your customers. Any customer that rented an Airbnb or a hotel and used their debit card to get a hotel within the tri-state area of DC. Look, those people, anybody that did a debit card transaction in the DC area on the day of January 6th, and the bank came up with a list of like 27 people and sent all the information from the bank of their private clients' information over without the client's knowledge to the FBI. Like, at what point are our rights being infringed on? You know, I'm sure we can agree on this one. It's like, holy shit. Because
the Patriot Act is, I mean, they've been mass surveilling Americans for years.
For sure.
And it's ridiculous. I also don't. So there was like the no-fly list. I don't know if that was real or not, because the TikTok video or whatever that I saw, it had like a retraction statement on it, and it said like that the person didn't get kicked off for no-fly list; they got kicked off for not wearing a mask. So I don't. Either way, though, my point is, I think that the no-fly list is really fucked up because it completely skips due process. Like you
Yeah.
could be on that list right now, and you wouldn't even know it unless you went to the airport to try to fly. And
I'll find out.
You didn't go to the court. You never got notified. You didn't get investigated. Like somebody flagged your name, and it could literally be an error, a typo. They meant to spell fucking Nikki Bates, who's a female, and they left off the Y, but your name got added to the list.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, it's some crazy shit. Like a no-fly list, Patriot Act, and the messed up thing is that both Republicans and Democrats support the Patriot Act, not like continually. They always renew it, and it's literally spying on Americans.
Yeah, and they do it in the disguise of for our best interest. Everything, which I forget which president he said, which president they quoted saying this, but it was like, what are like the 4 words you don't ever want to hear from a politician? It was like,
Yeah.
I got your back or something
I
like
think it might
that.
have been Reagan.
Yeah. I'm here to help.
I'm from the government,
Yeah.
and I'm here to help.
Yes, those are the words
have
you
that.
don't want to hear.
It's on a morale patch that I've got in my thing.
Okay, are those all your badges that you got in the military or what?
Yeah, but that's hilarious. But Reagan, fuck him too, though, because he's the one that like propped up the war on drugs.
Yeah, I do. There's so many different things that we could discuss. I feel like
All right, man.
we got a dog and a cat fighting in here. So, all right, later.